A student submits a paper and it feels AI written. Now what? In this video, I'm going to cover the three-step process I use when a student paper feels AI written. By the end of this video, you will know what to look for, what to ask next, and how to respond without relying on AI detectors or making accusations of cheating too quickly. I've been teaching at the college level for 17 years, and before that, I worked in law enforcement. One thing I understand is that there is nothing worse than being accused of something you did not do. When the facts are unclear, the worst thing you can do is rush to judgment. That matters in the classroom too. Sometimes the paper submitted really is AI assisted. Sometimes it just feels off. And sometimes this is the first substantial writing sample you have from the student. So you have nothing earlier to compare it to. That is why gut instinct is not enough. You need a process. Step one, simple. Get specific about what is making you pause. Do not jump straight to, can I prove this is AI? Start with a much better question. What exactly feels off here? Sometimes it's the mismatch between the writing and the student you know. A freshman turns in the first major paper of the semester, and it reads like someone halfway through a PhD wrote it. The wording is overly polished. The sentence structure is advanced. The vocabulary sounds inflated. But once you get past the wording, the actual thinking underneath it is shallow. That's a red flag. There are also some very specific things that make me stop and take a closer look. If I see M dashes all over the place, I pause. If there are no in-text citations where there absolutely should be some, I pause. If the reference list includes books or sources with no clear trail showing where the information came from, I pause. If words are randomly bolded for emphasis for no clear reason, I pause. Sometimes it's not just one thing by itself, it's the pattern. The writing looks polished, but the examples are generic. The wording sounds advanced, but the reasoning is thin. The structure is clean, but the student never really makes a strong point. So in step one, your job is not to prove anything yet. Your job is just to specifically name what feels off. Step two is to compare the paper to what you actually know. If this is not the student's first written assignment, go back and look at their earlier work. Look at previous papers, discussion posts, short responses, or in-class writing. You're not looking for perfection. You're looking for consistency. Can't a student usually explain ideas at this level? Does it sound like their normal voice? Does the depth of the paper match the level of thinking they've shown before? I'm not saying students can't improve. Of course they can. But if the jump is dramatic, you need to pay attention. Now, if this is the first major written assignment, then you may not have much to compare it to. That's exactly why you do not want to rush. If you don't have a baseline yet, then you need to be even more careful about what you assume. Step two is not about proving anything. It's about checking whether your concern actually holds up once you compare it to what you know. And after comparing the paper to what you actually know about the student, if it still feels off, this is where the next step matters most. Step three is to verify the thinking. In my class, I had a student submit a paper that looked good on the surface. The writing was clean, the structure was strong, it sounded polished. But when I stopped and asked myself why it felt off, I actually could name it. There were bolded words for no clear reason, M dashes everywhere. And more importantly, the paper barely addressed anything from our text or lecture. So instead of just running that paper through an AI detector or jumping straight to a conclusion, I asked the student to explain one part of their argument, not the whole paper, just one part. I asked, walk me through what you were thinking, what you meant here. And that question told me more than any AI detector ever could. That's the move in step 3. Stop trying to prove the paper was generated by AI and start asking whether the student can actually explain the thinking behind it. That can be as simple as asking, why did you choose this example? What did you mean in this paragraph? How did you get to this conclusion? If someone challenged this point, what would you say? If the student owns the work, they can usually explain it. Maybe not perfectly, maybe a little awkwardly, but they can move around inside the ideas. If they cannot explain the reasoning, if they cannot clarify their examples, and if they can't go one step deeper when you ask a basic follow-up question, that tells you a lot. Now, how you do this may depend on how you're teaching. If you teach face-to-face, this can be a short conversation before class, after class, during office hours, or just as part of how you normally talk with students about their work. If you teach online, this might be a quick Zoom meeting, a short written follow-up, or even an audio or video response where the student explains one key part of the assignment. The goal is the same either way. You are trying to find out whether the student can actually explain, defend, and own what they submitted. And let me highlight one important thing, because this part really matters. This works best when it's built into the course from the beginning. When students know they may be asked to explain their reasoning, defend a choice they made, or talk through part of an assignment, it changes how they approach the work in the first place. I put it in my syllabus so that students are prepared to ask questions about any assignment they submit and explain their thinking if asked. That way, it's not some dramatic gotcha moment. It's just part of how my course works. If you need help with the actual AI policy language in your syllabus, I have another video that walks through that. I have it linked here. Oh, and one more thing. If you want a simple handout with these 3 steps so you can keep it nearby when you're grading, I'll put that free download in the description below. Let me tell you what I would not do. I would not start with an AI detector and treat it like it just handed me the truth. I would not assume that polished writing automatically means dishonesty. And I would not accuse a student before I had enough facts to stand on. Once you accuse a student, you cannot unring that bell. So if something feels off, slow down. Name what feels off. Compare it to what you know. And verify the thinking. The real goal here is not to get better at catching students cheating. The real goal is to get better at measuring thinking. If we keep building assignments that only reward polished output, then AI is going to keep exposing that weakness. But if we build courses where students know they may need to explain, defend, apply, and own their work, then we're doing something much more useful than policing. we're teaching. If this topic's hitting home for you, tell me in the comments about a time when you suspected or caught a student using AI. What happened and how did you handle it? If you want help with the next step, I'm going to put another video on the screen about the 3 assessments I think professors should redesign first, because that goes hand in hand with everything we talked about today. And if you're willing, please subscribe to the channel. I'm new to YouTube, but I'm actively embracing AI in my own classroom, and I'm sharing what I'm learning along the way. What works, what doesn't work, what professors might need to rethink. My goal is to give you something practical, so maybe you don't have to learn every lesson the hard way like I did. I'll see you in the next video.